A regular meeting of the City Council held in City Council Chamber on Thursday, September 26, 2017, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on September 28, 2017, at 10:30 a.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. We have Councilor Epley absent, excuse me, who had a death in his family. Council President Milo presided. Councilor Fury moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. And I ask that we all stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Sargent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Turriell?
Thank you, Madam President. A point of personal privilege?
Yes.
I just like to, pay a moment to note that our colleague, Councilor Epley, is not with us today, and as you mentioned, his father passed away this weekend after a long illness. I met his father, Dale, a few years ago. Wonderful man. I know this is a really difficult time for Dave and his husband, Chad, and I'd just like to ask for a quick moment of silence to pay our respects to him.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public testimony. First on the list, we have John Russell. If you come forward, Mr. Russell, and just state your name and your address for the record.
Name's John Russell, 16 Memorial Drive. I'm here tonight to support the change of the ordinance to take the COA director, Council on Aging director, out from under the Park and Rec. The past 6 or 7 years, I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time at the Salem Senior Center. I've seen it come from, somewhat dysfunctional, where nobody went to any programs, to a really vibrant and thriving senior center. The programs are full, the attitudes are happy. There's a lot of good things going on there. I think the next step, though, is to take this COA director's position out from where it is so that it doesn't have different layers to have to go through to get things done for the seniors. We're in the process of getting a new director of the COA. We're in the process of building, and hopefully less than a year away, to a new building. And the building's going to be the Community Life Center. Initially, I wasn't for that. I was looking for a Council on Aging building again, but after talking to a lot of people, I really see the benefit of the Community Life Center. However, there are a lot of seniors who are apprehensive about not having a senior center and going into the Community Life Center. And just out of respect for them, I think this is one of those things that would make them feel more comfortable, that they have somebody that is there, and the only one they answer to is the mayor, so that they can have their best interest at heart, and they can do things immediately, without having to go through the layers. I think it's something that the seniors want. I think it's something that they need, and I know it's something that they deserve. Last night we had a meeting on the Friends of the Council on Aging, and we did take a vote, and it was unanimous to support this ordinance as well. So I hope you take the time to think about the seniors in our community, to make sure that they're represented, to make sure that they feel comfortable with these new transitions, to make sure that they know that we have their backs and their best interests at heart. So please consider this change. I think it's for the good of the seniors and good of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Snow.
Good evening, members of the board and President Elaine Milo. My name is Nicole Snow. I reside at 190 Bridge Street in Salem, Massachusetts. I am the President and Executive Director of the Massachusetts Patient Advocacy Alliance. That organization worked to pass the ballot initiative in 2012 to legalize medical marijuana for patients. I'm also a proud board member of the Northeast Cannabis Coalition, an organization that was brought together by industry professionals to promote the cannabis industry that is currently only emerging. I am also an ex officio advisory board member to the Cannabis Control Commission. My public comment this evening is in regards to the marijuana ordinances that have been proposed. After meeting hundreds of patients across the state of Massachusetts and advocating for their rights to safe access, I was invited to take a leadership role in the Alliance. Since becoming director of the fledgling organization, I worked with all of the stakeholders involved in the implementation of Chapter 369, an act for the humanitarian use of medical marijuana, to craft and implement viable regulations, cite over 100 safe access points across the Commonwealth, and grow the number of certified patients from 153 in October of 2014 to over 42,000 as of today. On June 24, 2015, ATG became the first dispensary in Massachusetts to begin serving registered patients. Just this morning, our state's 14th dispensary opened in Somerville, Massachusetts. The level of difficulty and cost to enter into the program as a medical marijuana provider is staggering. Some of the providers I'm in touch with spend millions of dollars to get into the program and build their facilities. Ordinances that are cost prohibitive to any small business will enhance cost prohibition. It may even work to stifle the potential medical marijuana market that has yet to emerge. And the reason why I'm discussing this now, as we're discussing ordinances that in regards to adult use, is because our medical marijuana program has not been implemented to its fullest potential. Only 14 dispensaries are open as of 2017, and we want to not stifle the industry, but promote it. In particular, I'm speaking against ordinances that would crash or burden any small business within the state, within the city of Salem. I hope my comments resonate with you as we are growing this nascent industry. We haven't yet promulgated any of the regulations at the CCC. Actually, we only just met for the third time. The CCC met for the third time, and I'm not even sworn in yet. The advisory board has yet to meet. So before we become preclusive under the guise of being proactive, let's consider all of the elements of these ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael LaTulip? Excuse me.
Hi, I'm Michael LaTulip. I live at 190 Bridge Street. Thank you, President Milo and the entire Salem City Council for hearing my comments today on the proposed ordinance to amend zoning around adult use, marijuana, retail, cultivation, manufacturing, and lab testing establishments. My name is Michael LaTulip, and today I am here in my capacity as a Salem resident, Development Director of the Massachusetts Patient Advocacy Alliance, and as a board member of the Northeast Cannabis Coalition, a trade group of cannabis businesses dedicated to creating a prosperous new industry. I was also recently appointed as the Registered Patient Advisor to the Cannabis Control Commission, where I will be advising the Commission on developing adult use regulations and updating medical marijuana regulations to ensure the medical marijuana program remains viable long into the future. I'm a medical marijuana patient suffering from debilitating pain from a horse riding accident about 10 years ago. Keeping medical marijuana viable long into the future in face of the growing adult use industry will be very challenging. The Massachusetts Patient Advocacy Alliance, of which I am Development Director, is focused right now on developing the medical marijuana program to become incorporated into mainstream healthcare facilities and hospice programs so that patients in the medical marijuana program can expect a continuance of care with medical marijuana if they're forced by their debilitating condition into supervised care. Indeed, a truly medical marijuana program should incorporate itself into mainstream medical facilities, and that is our goal at the MPAA. Currently, the state of Massachusetts, after almost 5 years of the medical marijuana program, has only 14 dispensaries, with the 14th one opening this morning in Davis Square in Somerville, and the 13th opening yesterday in Great Barrington in the Berkshires. Patients still lack safe access throughout large portions of the state, and the reasons behind these delays in patient access include everything from failures at the state agency level to local level arguments and industry consultants. We must not let that happen again. In my capacity as a board member of the Northeast Cannabis Coalition, I represent a range of marijuana businesses, from laboratories to small product manufacturers and large-scale dispensaries. I can tell you, because I know most of the cannabis businesses owners, that the marijuana industry is nascent and is not built on strong federally approved regulations or strong banking laws. Barriers to entry for marijuana businesses are staggering when one compares it to starting a typical retail business. Marijuana businesses cannot deduct business expenses from their taxes because of the IRS tax code 280E and pay most of their income to the IRS to prevent problems in federal enforcement. It is for this reason that I see areas for improvement in the currently proposed ordinance to amend zoning laws around adult use marijuana establishments. One of the main tenets of the adult use marijuana compromise made by the state legislature was to encourage the participation of communities disproportionately harmed by the drug war and to encourage a diverse cannabis industry. Barriers to entry proposed here today, including a restrictive zoning map, burdensome restrictions on cultivation centers and cannabis businesses to use alternative sources of energy, or how many plants can mature at any given time, actually act to prevent small businesses in a diverse marijuana industry from taking hold. These restrictions and proposed zoning map could potentially prevent many would-be business owners from ever trying to start one. A great example of this is Section 610(9), requiring specific lighting technologies to be used in certain proportions. This is a strange demand for any business anywhere. Section 610(9), 610(10) also require 50% of electricity to come from on-site generation facilities. This is a giveaway to the solar industry and will prevent many applicants from trying to apply because of the large cost prohibition created by that proposed amendment. Advanced solar panels likely don't even exist that would allow for 50% of electricity to be generated on-site for the amount of lighting required to cultivate marijuana in a facility. One solution to encourage a smaller carbon footprint may be allowing a large greenhouse cultivation center, which could save energy and wouldn't require a huge expense of solar panels. Perhaps, though, the best solution will be placing no restrictions or barriers to entry for new cannabis businesses as proposed in Sections 10(9) and 610(10), because the industry is so new, nascent, and fragile. No one is getting rich off marijuana anytime soon as long as it remains federally prohibited because of the 280E tax restrictions placed on marijuana businesses. Because the mission of the compromise adult use and medical marijuana bill was to engage diversity in local communities harmed by the drug war, it should be the mission of Salem to try and end burdensome and expensive barriers to entry for marijuana applicants and startups, so the pool is much more diverse. It would be best, in my opinion, to remove those proposed restrictions and instead open up the map to include more zones throughout the city to make it more likely a business can find an inexpensive location. One problem we have seen with overly restrictive city zoning on diversity in the industry is that zone property owners raise the lease on the property costs as much as fourfold for marijuana applicants who then cannot proceed. Open up more zones to have medical marijuana and adult use marijuana to give smaller applicants a chance. Another suggestion I have for the city of Salem is to incorporate a grandfather clause into the zoning overlay, which will protect existing medical marijuana businesses from being denied the ability to participate in the new adult use industry. Medical marijuana only testing laboratories and medical marijuana only clinic operations could find it very difficult to survive in an adult use market. And the city of Salem should be proactive in protecting our medical marijuana facilities. Salem can do this by grandfathering these existing operators into any zoning amendments to participate in the adult use market. Medical marijuana operators are experienced operators and have proven they understand the importance of public safety and public health by going through the rigors of the Department of Public Health's application process. If these businesses choose to elect to sell adult use in order to maintain their survival, I think it would be wise for Salem to grandfather them in before any zoning restrictions are put in place. These businesses chose Salem to start their business, and we should ensure that they can thrive long into the future and continue to serve patients with debilitating conditions. In conclusion, the zoning amendments proposed for adult use are welcome, but are overly restrictive and put strange and costly barriers to entry for a new business to open and thrive here in the city of Salem. We have already seen what happens when zoning becomes overly restrictive and competitive with medical marijuana. The small business owners get pushed out and only the largest and best connected survive. Diversity is lacking in the cannabis industry. Our state representatives and senators took a progressive stand through their marijuana compromise by putting a priority on helping those disproportionately harmed by the drug war and pushing for the creation of a diverse industry full of women, veterans, and minorities. Salem should not put in barriers to entry for this fledgling industry that will prevent it from thriving within our borders or threaten existing medical marijuana facilities with potential of economic distress. Salem should not put barriers that would prevent a diverse industry from taking hold. Some of you know me already because of my medical marijuana advocacy, and I welcome you all, including Mayor Driscoll, to reach out to me anytime to discuss how we can accomplish the important task of ensuring that innovation, startups, and local businesses flourish in this new marijuana economy. Thank you all for listening to me today.
Thank you. Tim Jenkins.
Tim Jenkins, 18 Broad Street. I'd like to speak quickly on three things tonight. One would be an ordinance proposed by Councilor Dibble on trying to coordinate repair of natural gas leaks around the city. I think it's a great idea. Highly supportive of it and should have happened a long time ago, and I believe Councilor O'Keefe tried once before in the old days to try to coordinate these things, ripping up the city streets. It happens all the time. There are ways of doing this in an organized fashion and accomplish many goals at once. We'd like to see more trees planted in Salem, but it makes no sense while we have large numbers of gas leaks around the city. They've been identified. I'd like to compliment Pat Gazemba for all her hard work on identifying this problem and getting our utility, in this case Natural Grid, on top of it, so that we can get as many of these Class 3 leaks repaired as quickly as possible. I've seen good progress, but it needs to, the pace needs to pick up on this. And Salem has one of the oldest gas infrastructures, if not in the Commonwealth, very close to the nation. Philadelphia is the oldest at 1836, and we're not far off of it. We have very, very old infrastructure, and it is time that it is replaced, and replaced rapidly and extensively. And I'm afraid one way or another we're paying for it now. We're paying for the leaks. They build it into the rates right now. So why don't we at least get something for our money and get our infrastructure repaired? Then we're able to plant trees. Then we're not doing it 3 or 4 times in a row, watching our streets get dug up immediately after we spent a lot of money to have them paved. This makes a great deal of sense, and I can't thank you enough for proposing it. I hope everybody gets on board and we really push it through and help our engineering department and others get this organized. So that would be one. Second of all, I became aware, holding signs actually for an election, of a problem at the entrance to a street that leads traffic to a local primary school. And it was so obvious what the problem was, I couldn't believe it hadn't been solved, but it turns out it had been solved, apparently at one point. And old signs had been removed very close, or no parking signs, very close to the corner, the entrance to this particular road, Scary Street. They've now been replaced. We have no parking signs that prevent you from parking within about 20 feet of the intersection. And it may be possible to only do that at particular times, but the key is to make sure that you can move in and out of this street without risking a child's life as they try to, I hate to say this, but these devices, I see kids walking with them all the time, and they'll just walk right across the street. We have to be even more careful and diligent about this than in the past, and I reported this, and I was shocked at how fast it got fixed, which goes back to fixing infrastructure. It would be great on very obvious things where we don't have to change an ordinance, don't have to come to you for permission to put in a no parking, that this be done as quickly as possible. And the thing I learned out of it, about this was that talking to the traffic guard who'd been there for 25 years, he said, I've been trying to report this for a long time. And I said, really? How long? Oh, at least 5 years. And I went, wow, why did it take so long? It was so obvious and so easy. And you could save a life. I'm just glad it got done. I suspect it's not the only location. And I'd say, let's go back and talk to these traffic crossing guards and see what other issues they can point out. That's the first thought I had. Also, in this case, there are flashing lights out on Bridge Street, apparently Mass Highway. I saw a program on this recently. Mass Highway, at one point, did not want you to put in red lights to stop traffic. I think they've changed their position where there's the very high pedestrian traffic, particularly near schools. These lights flash yellow. I asked them, do they work? No. People, they totally ignore them. It seems like they almost speed up. And I was like, wow, that doesn't sound like they're working. We have the investment. Somebody has the investment in these lights already. It seems to me that it's simple. There are 8 lights total. You either replace the bulbs or the lenses and make them red. You don't have to do anything other than that. You touch the button, it automatically turns red, stops the traffic. This crossing guard's going out there on his own. He's not a very tall man, and his children are smaller. They're going out in the middle of the traffic. They're trying to stop the traffic anyway. Why not give them some assistance? We already have the infrastructure in place. Turn it to a red light. And the last thing I didn't plan on speaking on tonight, but I'm going to speak on it, and I've witnessed it for years. I've been a big advocate of recycling, in this case, old buildings, for a long time, and Salem has a lot of them. And we've made great progress, including right in this room. We have a senior center. To me, I moved back here in Salem 4 years ago, and I looked at it and went, absolutely nothing has changed here. This building has been completely abandoned. We do absolutely no maintenance on this building.
Mr. Jenkins, I don't see the senior center building on the agenda.
It is
I see
not,
the
but
appointment.
the topic of an appointment of somebody is, and the responsibility for this building falls under whom? And we need to look into this and find out why this building is in such bad shape. And I'll go into details at any time with anybody, but the situation is something we have to fix. Even if we're not going to occupy this building for much longer, it has been ignored for far too long. It has literally become dangerous in many ways.
And
I don't know if that falls under the head of the whoever, or if it falls under the
Right.
Department of the building inspector.
I would invite you to come back when we have something on the agenda.
Let's look into this, and I'm happy to come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Chris Norkin.
Hi, everybody. Chris Norkin, 53 Summer Street. Just back to advocate for the resident parking. Quick iteration from last meeting. It's a one-way street. Parking's on one side. People who work downtown park on the street. People who use the commuter rail park on the street. And tourists use the street for free parking all year. And hope that you pass it through a third time. Thanks.
Thank you. That concludes public testimony. Okay. Oh, Councilor Fury.
Madam President, if I may, I'm going to request a moment of silence for a distinguished citizen. I wish to request a moment of silence for the passing of a good and faithful public servant in Rick Lee, who served us so well and professionally on the licensing board for many years. It is a profound loss to his wife and his daughter. He served in the Air Force, and he then went on to become a distinguished police officer in the city of Peabody for 33 years, rising in the ranks to captain. And Before he retired, he lived that distinguished service. After he retired, I had the real pleasure and fun to know Rick Lee when he and I came to work at the Peabody Essex Museum as security guards. We will miss him at the Peabody Essex Museum, but finally we will miss him on the licensing board with Chief St. Pierre. A very difficult board to serve. Rick Lee served very well. So I'm requesting a moment of silence, if I may, by the City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. Just now in public testimony, we heard a lot of facts from Mr. Michael Latulip. So through you, I'd like to ask if you'd be willing to share those comments in writing, give it to the city clerk so they can distribute to all of us. A lot of facts and figures, and
Sure.
it was well presented. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules so that the mayor can address us.
So moved.
Okay, seeing no objection, Mayor?
Hi, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to just spend a few minutes providing a brief overview on the proposed regulations, both zoning and orders before you on the adult use marijuana rules. And I want to say they are proposed. We're looking forward to having a good discussion. We know Nikki and Michael have worked with them closely on medical marijuana and definitely want to hear more about their perspectives and share with you a little bit of the thinking that went on internally with respect to this issue in putting together before you some of the regulations that are being proposed for zoning and some of the state law that sort of impacts this approach. So I think folks are familiar with the fact that here in Salem, this measure passed by approximately 60% of the voters to allow adult use retail sale of marijuana. That also includes cultivation and manufacturing of products related to marijuana. Under the state law, cities and towns have a couple of options before them. One would be to propose a moratorium on any retail sales, cultivation, or manufacturing. We have not opted to do that, given that the voters of Salem, as a majority of voters here, have supported legalizing this particular use. Our approach going forward, given the fact that we have a medical marijuana facility here, and frankly the first medical marijuana facility in the Commonwealth was here, in a very, what we thought was a smooth and orderly process, encouraging a very professional outfit to work with both their neighborhood association and with the councilors in crafting regulations through a special permit process to locate in our community. We identified medical marijuana as a medical office and said you need to, as an industry, fit within the medical office requirements, and then whatever state regulations were on top of that. There were buffer zones around proximity to areas where children congregate, for instance, that was built into a state regulation. So the idea was not to sort of pull these things out and treat it as some sort of adult entertainment zone that we don't want to have anywhere, more to look at what the industry was and fit it within the existing zoning regulations that would apply to that industry. We took that same tact with respect to adult and recreational use. So for instance, retail marijuana use is going to be allowed in just about every business district that a package store would be. Similar sort of complementary product sale. We also looked at things like marijuana production and marijuana cultivation and thought about the zones that they would fit in. Where do we allow manufacturing? Where do we allow cultivation? And wanted to make sure those same rules applied to this particular type of industry. Not wanting necessarily to treat it differently, understanding that we have some existing zoning regulations where this may be able to fit through a special permit process that would allow the type of conversations you want to have with neighbors and abutters and a statewide process on top of that. So if you just give me a few minutes to walk through what is actually pending before you. Two items that the state does allow us to do, does allow cities and towns by order of the city council to put in place. One is an excise tax, a 3% charge sales tax on the sale of medical products, medical marijuana, retail marijuana, adult use marijuana. We are opting to accept the state statute that allows for that 3% sales tax. Two, it does allow a cap to be put in place to 20% of the package stores within your community. And so for us, we are proposing that cap
it would be 4.2 for facilities. And under the state law, the existing medical marijuana facility is given a green light to go ahead as one of those licenses automatically with respect to selling retail. So if they were a licensed medical marijuana facility in your community by July, they had almost an as-of right to one of those licenses in a community, whether you cap it or not. In this case, we are proposing the 20% cap. So we then put together a team consisting of folks from the planning department, the city solicitor's office, the police department, to unpack some of the state regulations. And I have to tell you, it's been a little bit of a moving target. This has taken a while, as I think many folks know, for the state to get their arms around. And I think there are still some regulations to come that we haven't seen yet. But we did want to try and think about this as the lens through I mentioned earlier. This is an industry, it's now legal here, but it's not completely dissimilar from other industries like manufacturing, like retail sales of product, and wanted to look at our existing zoning ordinances. So when we go through this, and I welcome the opportunity to sort of dive into it more deeply as part of the zoning public hearing with the planning board, you will find that if you looked at something like manufacturing, marijuana product manufacturing, it is not going to be allowed in residential districts, which is consistent with any manufacturing product we would have in our community. But you are going to find it allowed in our B2, our B4, our industrial and our business park development. Those are uses that are allowed within BPD and industrial. Something like marijuana testing or marijuana cultivator facilities are going to be allowed in our BPD and our industrial districts. They're not going to be allowed in residential districts because those sorts of uses aren't currently allowed. So we were trying to take like-minded items and put it in like-minded categories that already exist within our zoning ordinance. Now the retail, I think that's the area that we spent the most amount of time on, sort of thinking through what makes sense. And we have not allowed it in residential zones because we would not allow a business in residential zones, a package store if we were going to treat it that similarly. We are allowing it in B2, B4, industrial and BPD, business park developments. So every business district with the exception of B5 and B1. And I will say we had a lot of conversations about whether it was a good idea to restrict B5 and B1. And let me just share with you a little bit of the insights on how we landed up with, at least at this time, it's proposed, not suggesting that this be a use allowed in B5 and B1. We looked at the B1 locations within Salem. They are primarily, that's like your neighborhood retail. They are primarily that first layer of retail that exists right adjacent to residential properties. There's really not that many of them, to be honest. They're pretty small, tight areas that are restricted in size and scale. And again, usually right next door, right on top of residents. We looked at B5, and that's probably the area we had the most discussion. I'm probably still of two minds on it. B5 is our central business district. It's the busiest area we have for both tourists and visitors and activities and festivals that take place in our community. From a finance perspective, if I put my finance hat on and thought about 3% excise, we'd probably want to have this sort of an industry in B5, where we have a lot of people who are here who are here more regularly for festivals and events, and we certainly have people living here too. In talking with the police department, I will say, given the amount of festivals and activities that we have here, there was some trepidation that this is a bit of a new area for us in terms of trying to manage adult use recreation, and maybe the combination of all those people, some of whom will be here next month, along with the festivals and all the activity we're having, to add adult use recreational, to add a sale of adult use recreational marijuana, might not be the first foray we want to take as we think about this new industry. We have to manage already people who come in. We don't always know what might be in their Dunkin' Donuts cup or their Coke can. We know there'll be edible products. We'll know there'll be things that it might be hard to manage if people are leaving and consuming this right within the public if you're not sure exactly what it is. And that was a little bit of trepidation given Halloween, mischievous holiday, lots of people, costumes. Do we really want to add this additional area that could be problematic? I don't want to suggest that it is. The internal back and forth really was around not wanting to treat this as some separate industry, not wanting to treat this as something that needed to go out into the outskirts of town and, communities typically treat an adult entertainment zone. Wanting it to be mainstream, but also wanted to be mindful of the impacts it could have given our uniqueness of what the celebrations we have and the amount of people who attract here. So we deferred towards leaving it out of the B5 and out of the B1 for those reasons. But definitely welcome the conversation, look forward to additional discussions. I think there's some clarifications in here around the energy use. It is not a requirement that it be 50% on-site. We know that if you are a cultivator, you're going to be a big power user, and we're just trying to make sure that there's opportunities to ensure that at least half that power comes from green sources, whether that's on-site or off-site, community solar. Even our municipal aggregation purchase has a 100% renewable component, so we don't think that's really going to be much of a hardship, but look forward to talking through and teasing out these issues as we move into what is a new industry for us, but it's not a new industry, you know, in the country, and it's something that we think how we've handled medical marijuana professionally, thoughtfully, with input, we can do so here as well. There's one additional consideration that is built into the zoning that I also should mention. That's around buffer zones. So the state law requires that any of these facilities not be located within 500 feet of a K through 12 of a school setting. Package stores have a requirement for notice for churches and daycares and schools, and under the state law, if you were going to open a new package store or receive any kind of license from ABCC, you have to do a notice provision. We've sort of combined the two in our zoning ordinance, so it requires not being located next to a school, but notice to a broader array of industries. So where children could congregate, it includes a college or a university. We feel like those folks should be notified so they can come to that special permit, weigh in, and we recognize that that is something that the zoning board will take into account. We did have some conversations with people in the industry. We know there are parties that are interested, I should say, in locating. We've already had some proposals on Canal Street and other places. And the two things I took away from it is the industry seems to want to be where people want them to be. They don't want to have hand-to-hand combat to locate a site. So I got the sense that they were not unusual looking for rules and regulations, so they could certainly try and comply with it, not looking to go into a place where they were not wanted. And the special permit process really lends itself to that. You've got notice for all the abutters, then we've buttressed that notice to those industries I've talked about, where kids, schools, daycare, colleges, anyone that, churches, that might have some extra interest in this, similar to the way we do with package stores, and then they can all come to the ZBA meeting to have a conversation. Before any of these projects can actually get approved, they also need to have a letter of non-opposition from the mayor or the city council. We've tried to put in place some protocols we're proposing going forward that we give some thought to that and probably treat it the way we handle special act liquor licenses, meaning I'm not going to unilaterally issue a letter, and we'd like it if the city council didn't unilaterally issue a letter, that we have an application that people would fill out so we can do some vetting to make sure that they are qualified, experienced, capable, have our police department do their reviews as we typically would, and if it's somebody that would meet the qualifications that we would expect in terms of being professional and experienced, it would be put forward. It would not guarantee a special permit. You still then also have to comply with the state regulations, but it felt like an area that needed to have some approach for the granting of letters of non-opposition, because without a letter of non-opposition, you don't have the ability to go to the next step for the industry. So no letter of opposition means no access into state DPH for their permitting, their lengthy, I should say, permitting and regulatory reviews there. So that's a quick overview. I'm happy to take questions, but certainly look forward to discussing this more thoughtfully, more fully as part of the zoning board process, where I think the meat of it is. The other two issues are frankly just orders we would need to accept on the 3% sales tax and the 20% cap. The zoning ordinance has obviously all the use regulations behind it, and I think takes a little bit more thought, and we look forward to that conversation for sure.
Councilor Fury.
Madam President, if I may, Mayor, have we heard anything from Salem State College in regards to the Canal Street? Because we have the Attorney General Sessions talking on the issue of this situation, and we have presidential dialogue going on this situation. And then we have the Salem State College right next door.
Right.
This major, this little dispensary situation. And we're talking about high schools, we're talking about colleges, we're talking about libraries and schools. This is right in the backyard of the Salem State College. The Neighborhood Association has some concerns, Ward 5 and 7. Have we heard anything from Salem State College initially so we can stop the process?
Sure.
Thank you.
And so just to catch up, this is in regard to the proposal to locate a medical marijuana facility on Canal Street where the K-Cup site is. And We have heard from Salem State some concerns. They have expressed some concerns about that. I don't know that they've formalized that, but President Keenan has certainly indicated to both me and I believe Councilor Turiel that they do have some concerns about the nature of that location. I don't know that they've formalized that in a letter or anything like that. This, as we know, these regulations do not apply to medical marijuana. We already have those regulations squared away. These regulations are primarily or solely for cultivation, manufacturing, and retail sale of marijuana and marijuana products.
Thank you.
Councilor Cherry.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, through you, the proposed site on Canal Street is currently fairly early in the process, although that vendor has talked to neighbors in the neighborhood, most of whom have been either in favor of it or neutral in their opinion. The neighborhood association has expressed opposition, and Salem State has expressed their intent to wind out to have a letter of opposition to it. The city doesn't, at least from my standpoint or from the administration standpoint, we don't really have a hard position on it as of yet. One thing, because my lead on this has been one of the neighborhood itself immediately surrounding it, where I've been taking their lead. And as I mentioned, most of the people in the general vicinity, if it are either supportive or really indifferent to it. It's based on the experience we've already had. One of the things that I will point out for the benefit of mainly of people who are maybe watching this is that, like the way this this passed at the state level, recreational marijuana as well as medical marijuana are available to people 21 and over only. So, and at least based on the experience with the medical facility in town, they are very strict about that. I would expect no less for any recreational facilities that do come to pass next year when this starts to come to pass. Like with a package store, and the 21-year drinking age and the 21-year smoking age we've set now, these guys can lose their ability to sell to the public very quickly if they, are serving it to minors. So, I think they all will have a mind of not trying to sell it to college students and or high school students. And honestly, that's one of the opportunities that the current black market that we have will probably remain in place. There's still going to be people who aren't legally able to purchase it who are going to want a place to get it. And, that's going to be, their local guy that they go to or whatever. And so it's going to be a really interesting time as the regulations shape themselves out. I'm looking forward to the discussion that we're going to have about citing and the proposed regulations that we're putting forward as a city. And I really look forward to how that's going to go forward, to that whole process.
Great.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, again, we are trying to be consistent. As you look at this, I think we're going to all have a lot of opinions coming at us, but where we treat manufacturing, that's where we've zoned this. Where we treat cultivation, that's where we zone this. And retail, with the exception of the B5 and the B1, for those reasons, we're trying to be consistent. I hope you recognize that as well. We're not trying to design an ordinance that nobody can meet or nobody can enter. So, thank you.
Thank you. Hearings. Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. Just one quick question in terms of the order for the 3% sales tax. Is that consistent across other industries in Salem?
3%, so the existing medical marijuana facility, which is not subject to taxes because it's a prescription product, we have a community benefits agreement with them that will be 3%, so that will be consistent. And our hotel motel taxes are actually higher than that. Our meals tax rates are, our meals tax, and there's a state meals tax is much higher than this. So it's obviously tobacco taxes are much higher than this. This was a state decision, the 3%. We don't have I don't believe we have the ability to, we cannot accept it, but I would not propose that. But we didn't have a say in the setting of the actual number, is my point. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearings.
You have an order from Comcast to install conduits for 401 Bridge Street and 50 Boston Street.
Do we have anyone appearing in favor?
Good evening, Dave Llewellyn, Comcast, Woburn, Massachusetts. So Bridge Street, starting at utility pole 596, excavating in the roadway to place 1 4-inch PVC conduit, 275 feet plus or minus, to a proposed 24 by 36 vault. Continuing from that vault with 1 4-inch PVC, an additional 340 feet to a proposed 24 by 36 vault. This is to provide service to 401 Bridge Street.
Okay. Do councilors have any questions? No? Anyone else appearing in favor on this? No? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none. Councilor Famico?
Yes, Madam President. I don't necessarily think this would be in favor or against, but I'd just like to note in Salem right now, for anyone who's driven around lately, it's quite the obstacle course to get around. People are planning in the time to get from point to A to point B. Our kids are running late for school because the roads are being dug up. And looking around, the roads now look like a patchwork quilt. I'd say the sidewalks as well, if you even look out front here. Prior to meeting tonight, I checked in with the city solicitor, and while we do have a franchise agreement with Comcast, she noted that it says for existing conduits that they have in the road. So what I would like to do tonight is to move for approval, but to have some conditions that it will make it that going forward, we're adding less disruption to the people who are visiting Salem and those that live here. What a lot of cities do is they do require a shadow conduit to be installed at the same time. So while the roadway is getting installed, you'll put in an empty conduit that later on the city will, well, the city does own and maintain it. So later on the city could use it or use it for other purposes. It's actually noted from the Federal Highway Administration that it's 10 times more expensive to dig up an existing road than to lay it at the same time as an additional project. Goes on to say it's about like 1% extra to add a conduit that's empty under the street. So that means going forward that if you want to run something through it, you can, and then all of a sudden you're not digging up a road again. You're not causing people to be late. You're not causing other issues like that. So I would like to move for approval, but I'd like to add some conditions that make it so that we add that extra shadow conduit, especially because that part of road has had a lot of work lately. Even currently, we have some gas lines that are going in underground. To tag into that also, what's happening in our streets right now from one side to the other, they're getting completely filled up. For example, on Essex Street across here where Life Alive is, one side of the street to the other is filled. Some people probably noticed recently that upon digging in the road, we found some trolley tracks, which delayed a project even more. But additionally, when you go from one side to the other, it's having an effect on current street trees because their roots are sometimes getting disrupted. And also, we're limiting the locations that we can put future trees. Trees, if you're looking at the roots underground, you're going 15 feet or so, and depending on where we're putting these in, we're then preventing the future use of that. It takes right into our other gas. So as noted, I would like to move for approval, but I have some conditions. As I noted, I did speak with the city solicitor on this, and to tie into this as well, folks know all of our publicly owned buildings are getting fiber. So it will give us the ability that later on we're not digging up a road twice.
Councilor Famico, do you want to move to close the public hearing?
Yes. Those are my comments during the public hearing part.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilor Famico moves to close the public hearing. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries.
President,
Councilor Famico.
Councilor Dibble has hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to echo the good Ward 2 councilors' comments and to state that it was Comcast, but previously it was Warner Cable who 25 years ago came to me and asked to lay the conduit, but also to lay shadow conduits right beside it 25 years ago on New Derby Street, and quite a few other downtown streets, so that we would not have to rip out the sidewalk in the future to lay another line. So we do have some capacity now, and I applaud the research that the Ward 2 councilor just put in. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the public hearing is closed. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President, and I'll hand this to the city clerk after. So I move for approval with the following conditions. Number 1, at the time that the street is open for installation of the conduit cited in Comcast petition dated July 25th, 2017, Comcast shall build/install an additional 4-inch empty shadow conduit along the rung for the City of Salem to solely own and maintain. Number 2, Comcast shall coordinate with the City of Salem's Traffic and Parking Director and City of Salem's engineer to determine the shadow conduit's location. And finally, the manhole, vault, door, or other point of access shall not be located within the future bike lane.
Is that
Second.
under discussion?
If I could just say one thing, I did talk to our government relations person, and I did discuss with them the shadow conduit, and they did say that there was nothing in the franchise agreement that allowed for a shadow conduit to be placed.
Councilor Famico?
Yes, I spoke with our city solicitor who said the agreement is for the existing conduit, not for future, but our councils can
Sure.
work together
Yep,
on the details
absolutely.
surrounding that.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Famico's motion to grant this with conditions, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries.
Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
Held
Councilor
from the
Turner.
last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Chris Cantone to serve as a member of the Salem Renewable Energy Task Force with a term to expire on September 14th, 2020.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you. I'll take it as the former Ward 4 councilor. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Under discussion, I've known Mr. Cantone for over 20 years, probably. It's funny because actually with Rick Lee, we all met together down the Knights of Columbus, so we're all intertwined here. And Chris is very dedicated. He's involved in sports. His kids are at the high school. He's involved in soccer, and he's really puts everything he has into everything he does. And I think he'll be great on the Renewable Energy Task Force, or the new committee name. I got to get used to that. The Salem Renewable Energy Task Force is what it's still on here. So. But I wholeheartedly support his approval.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilor Terrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the appointment of Chris Cantone to the Renewable Energy Task Force, we have 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Councilor Ryan.
Motion to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Cantone to speak if he'd like.
Mr.
Address the
Cantone?
council.
Say quick, I'm not going to take up too much. Councilmen, board members, thank you very much for the vote. Those that are here, I was kind of honored to see as many people turn out for this, but in the pre-speech meetings, I was humbled by nobody was speaking about me, so apparently I see there's other issues. Just from as Councilor Ryan said, I've been involved in the city for quite a bit. Really, for the past 22 years, I've been in the energy field. Past 10 years directly working with energy from a supply side as well as behind the meter, which would be like energy efficiency as well as other programs, and currently in renewable energy resources. As an executive there, I meet with and deal with the Department of Energy as well as the Department of Utilities as well as the ISO grid operators of ISO New England. So I'm honored to actually take my knowledge and bring it here to the city to help us kind of manage the rising energy costs, as everybody is very much aware of. In all the customers that I deal with on a regular basis, energy is one of the top 3 costs that they are faced with. So City of Salem is no different than any other customer where it's a very high cost. So thank you very much for the vote. Look forward to being a part of this task force and doing whatever I can to help the city continue. So thank you.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Lorianne Giardella, 29 Castle Road, Nahant, to the position of Finance Director/Auditor with a term to expire January 31st, 2020.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Giardella comes to us from my first town of Revere, where she is also a Revere High grad, which I didn't graduate Revere High, but she graduated Revere High, but we did go to the same elementary school. She comes to us from Revere with 17 years of experience in the city. She was a purchasing agent first, and then she became the city auditor, budget director there. I spent some time before the meeting talking with her and talking about our budget process, and she oversaw a GFOA recognized budget, which is exactly what ours is, and the city of Revere's budget is larger than ours, but I think she's going to have a fantastic experience here, and I hope she stays forever, and I hope everyone supports her appointment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Turiel?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the appointment of Lorianne Giardella as the Finance Director, we have 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask for a suspension of the rules to allow Ms. Giardella to address the council should she so choose.
Seeing no objection, Ms. Giardella.
I am very happy to be here, and I really appreciate your vote of confidence, and I look forward to working with all of you. This is a very vibrant city, and it has a lot of, just a lot of excitement here, so I'm very much looking forward to being here. Thank you very much again. Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Stephen Cummings, 241 North Street, Salem, to the position of Assistant Building Inspector with a term to expire on September 14, 2019.
Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. We are so fortunate to have Mr. Cummings join us. He is a longtime North Salem resident. In fact, his cousin was one of my classmates in Marblehead. His grandparents were on Lee Street. He has lived here almost his whole life. And thankfully, he comes to us with over 15 years of construction experience in both residential and commercial. And I strongly support his appointment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Ryan.
I strongly support. I actually went to school with him. I think went to Bates School, Sheridan School. Graduated. He went to the Voc. I went to the high school. And actually, I think I bartended. I was thinking your wedding, and I think your brother, the air conditioner wasn't working, and your brother went on the roof and fixed it. And it's like, now he's working for the building department. But I wholeheartedly support it. I think he'll be great.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Turiel?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the appointment of Stephen Cummings to the position of Assistant Building Inspector, we have 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask for a suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Cummings to address the council should he so choose.
Seeing no objection, Mr. Cummings.
I just want to thank you for the great opportunity to be able to work in such a great city. Thank you.
Further appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Kelly Walton, 9 Japonica Street, Salem, to the position of Assistant Building Inspector with a term to expire on September 14, 2019.
Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Any discussion?
Thank you. The city is very fortunate to have these phenomenal Ward 6 residents that want to come and do great work for the city. Kelly and her husband have lived on Japonica now for, I believe, 2 years, and we're very fortunate to have her. She holds a master's in civil engineering from Norwich University. She used to work in project management for Federal Reserve, and we are, just incredibly fortunate to have such talent in our building department, so I strongly support her appointment.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Turiel?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the appointment of Kelly Walton to the position of Assistant Building Inspector, we have 10 counselors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules to allow Ms. Walton to address the council why do I do that? Should she so choose.
No objection?
Hello. It was nice meeting you all tonight, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm excited to be part of the team. Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Teresa Gov. Arnold of 8 Linden Road, Gloucester, to the position of the Council on Aging Director to complete the remainder of the 2-year term to expire on January 31st, 2018.
Counselor Ryan.
Move held under the rules.
Any discussion? Counselor Fury.
If I may, Madam President, fellow members, now that we have groundbroken for the new Council on Aging Center, the Levesque Center, state-of-the-art 21st century facility that's long overdue with other cities and towns way ahead of us. So I'm excited about this opportunity, but I'm very disappointed and displeased over the overall process of picking this new director for the state-of-the-art facility. We have had a revolving door of these directors who have come and gone, leaving a profound vacuum of instability in the council and the director of Council on Aging. We need to have the Council on Aging select more people that are involved who know Salem better, who have grassroots, who have heart and energy in the city of Salem, and give it some stability. I sincerely believe that we have passed over several key and vital staff members. Okay, I could name them, but I'm going to, Roseanne Donahue and Lynn Barrett, who have distinguished themselves at the Council on Aging. Maybe, if not, maybe they didn't apply, but some, you okay?
No, it came from there.
You okay?
I didn't touch the gavel.
Okay.
Is that what you thought? Yeah.
I sincerely think some in-house people could be asked to become the next director on Council on Aging on an interim basis, see how they perform, let them fly like an eagle from Salem. Like Roseanne Donahue and Lynn Barrett, who have served so well. Again, the selection process is to go for an outsider to Gloucester. I know there's a train situation back and forth. This director is going to require a lot of time and effort in the city of Salem. I adopted a son from Gloucester, and I used to take that boy up back and forth when he was 16 years old to visit his family. It's a hazardous route up and down, especially in darkness, going before. So I sincerely wonder how long this director that we're going to appoint at the next meeting from Gloucester will devote to the city of Salem. I hope she will stay. In my 32 years as elected in public service on the school committee in this city council, I have strongly advocated and championed in-house and local candidates for the superintendent of schools, police chief, and fire chief, and I now do that for the Council on Aging. There is no incentive to rise up the ranks in the Council of Aging facility, on our new facility, to have people use Salem as a quick stop proving ground to build their resumes. I do not believe we need a bachelor's degree or a master's degree for this facility. I think the two people that I mentioned have a master's degree, doctor's degree, and experience of love and service to their community. I think we should go with the heart of these people from in-house. Doug Bowling came from in-house. I think we should go from in-house. So I'm going to express my sincere displeasure, disappointment over the overall process. And I think, as a senior myself, looking forward to a bright, new, sparkling, state-of-the-art facility, I am strongly concerned about this appointment and how long this person will stay, and whether that person will use Salem as a proving ground for their resume. I want stability. I want continuity in the 21st century. So I'm going to make my remarks tonight, and I'm going to oppose this particular position, going to another outsider. I'm looking forward to some stability, excitement, in the 21st century for our Levesque Community Life Center for a person from in-house. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept a donation in the amount of $2,116 from Mazow and McCullough, PC, to the Park and Recreation Donation Fund.
Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Thank you. I want to thank Mazow and McCullough for their donation. This was for the Summer Youth Basketball League, which I know was a great success, and the kids who took part had a fantastic time. So thank you again to Mazow and McCullough for their donation.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor. Oh,
If you don't mind, could we go out of order to page 21? Last time, it's the resident parking. Last time we brought that up, we had some people that stayed with us quite a bit of time, so I'd like to...
okay.
be aware of that.
Councilor Gerard wants to move to...
Nope, Miko.
Councilor Famiko wants to move to page 21. Which one are we doing, the second item?
The second item, yes.
Okay.
Let's do both.
All right.
Yeah, do you want to do both?
Well, there's three related to that. They're skipped over.
We're doing all three?
No, because one's on page 20. I'd just like to do the resident parking first, if possible. The one-way, no one's here for that. I just like to do the resident parking because the one-way, those that spoke on that last week are currently not in the chamber.
Okay. All right, so the resident parking is the second item on page 21, correct? Okay, unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibited, prohibitions, towing zones, resident parking. Summer Street, Zone D, color yellow. Summer Street, easterly side from Endicott Street to Broad Street.
Councilor Famiko.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Any discussion?
No.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Famiko's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Now we're going to go back to
8-6.
what page? Page 6, correct? Communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance amending zoning, Section 3.0, Table of Principal and Accessory Uses relative to marijuana cultivator, manufacturer, testing facility, and retailer.
Councilor Ryan.
Move for approval, just kidding. Councilor, move refer to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with the city council.
Any discussion?
On discussion, though?
No.
This is the whole, what the mayor talked about, the marijuana regulations. We're gonna have a meeting, probably a long meeting or two.
Okay. Any further discussion? None? Seeing none, on Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? And that carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance amending zoning, Section 6.0, Special Regulations of Salem Zoning Ordinance relative to marijuana establishments.
Councilor Ryan.
Move refer to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with the city council.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance amending zoning, Section 10, definitions by adding terms and definitions relative to marijuana.
Councilor Ryan.
Move refer to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with the city council.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing none? No further discussion on Councilor Ryan's motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept Mass General Law, Chapter 64N, Section 3, which allows the city to impose a local sales tax on the sale of or transfer of marijuana or products by a retailer at a rate of not greater than 3%.
Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. I was thinking that we could move this to Administration and Finance since the other matters need to go to the joint public hearing on the planning board, and then we can make all the decisions all at once, unless my committee would like to, or any other member feels strongly that they would like to do the roll call vote now. Go to committee?
Councilor Turner.
Thank you, Madam President. I would say I mean, my own opinion on these the matters about the local tax, I see no problem with just moving that forward. It's a fairly straightforward matter, but whatever the will of the body is.
Councilor Levin.
I think we should not put the cart before the horse. Let's go to the planning board, get everything, allow the public to come forward. I don't anticipate this body's going to do a prohibition, but we should listen to the people.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
So move to Administration and Finance.
Second.
Co-posted, right?
Co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Okay, and we've got a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order per Mass General Law, Chapter 64N, Section 3, which allows the local tax for the sale of or transfer of marijuana products. The city hereby imposes a local tax of 3%.
Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be moved to the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay. On Councilor Giroux's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance amending Chapter 24 offenses and miscellaneous provisions by adding Section 24-30, retail marijuana establishments limits.
Councilor Ryan.
I move, refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, Legal Affairs, and co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? On Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for the suspension of the rules to allow the matter to come before council due to the late file, which is Rule Section 28.
Seeing no objection?
Which order is this?
This is the one about the school.
Yeah. I would object. Okay.
It's going to go to committee.
All right,
I just have to get it.
Yes. That's fine.
Okay.
No objection.
No. Should I read the order then?
Waive the reading.
Waive it, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
I guess not.
I guess not. Okay, so this particular order that I shall not read, I would like to move it to the Committee on Administration and Finance due to the late file.
Okay. Is that co-posted?
Co-post? Co-posted.
Sure. Okay. On Councilor Giroux's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Mayor's informational page? None. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Loveland.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, City Council, September 28, 2017, ordered that the city electrician and the city engineer collaborate with National Grid to study the feasibility of replacing the current light fixtures and installing decorative light poles and luminaries on Orange Square.
Adoption.
Move for adoption of the order.
Any discussion?
Not really.
No. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Lovely's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Okay, Councilor McCarthy is recusing himself, and I'm going down to the floor.
Councilor Milo?
Thank you. City of Salem, in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to Chapter 2, Director, Council on Aging. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 2-836, Director of the Council on Aging Department. The mayor shall biennially in January, subject to confirmation by the City Council, appoint a Director of the Council on Aging who shall act as the head of the Council on Aging Department and be responsible for the conduct of all its affairs. The Director shall serve for a period of 2 years from February 1st, succeeding his or her appointment, until a successor is appointed. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter.
On the discussion, please.
Do I have a second?
Is there a second?
Oh, excuse me, I move for adoption for first passage tonight, so that's the second I'm looking for.
Second.
Okay.
On the discussion, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. President. I have to say first that I commend the mayor for her service to our seniors. We have the Salem for All Ages initiative. Many of its goals focusing on efforts to provide structure, to allow older residents to age in place, to stay in Salem with their families, and to continue to enjoy the city in which they grew up. We have a Tufts grant that was received by the Friends of the Council on Aging to explore how we can use a city shuttle to allow folks more options for getting around the city. And the current expansion of the senior shuttle schedule has allowed more options to seniors. And as you mentioned earlier, and Mr. Russell mentioned, we have great programs down there. The attendance has increased exponentially. So we've done a lot to serve our seniors. And I'm excited that earlier this evening, we had an appointment before us to appoint a very highly qualified director for the council. Now, it's clear that she has the very special training and the education needed to serve our senior population. This ordinance change is brought before you this evening so that that new director will have the opportunity and the tools that she needs to do what she does best, and also so that we as a city can derive the full benefit of her expertise. So the ordinance change, this ordinance change will take the Council on Aging Director that's currently under Park and Rec, move it out from under Park and Rec, make it a direct report to the mayor, and subsequently basically give the seniors a full seat at the table. I don't make this proposal in a vacuum. As you heard earlier, this has the full support of the Friends of the Council on Aging, and I've done some open source research, especially through the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, and what was revealed is that this particular model, a direct report to the mayor, is basically the standard operating procedure and the most successful model across the state. So I'm excited. I think it's exciting to be a senior in Salem right now. I hope that you, Mr. President, and our colleagues here will join me tonight in continuing to serve our seniors in a way that they deserve by supporting this ordinance for first passage this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilor Gerard?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a point of clarification through you to the good
Please.
at-large counselor. So was this something that had come up in exit interviews with our former counselor, directors of Council on Aging, that they felt that this should be a direct report? And I guess what was the impetus for this? How did this come about? Because I'm also trying to understand, because I know that this was separate, and then it moved under Park and Rec, and how did that come about? And then this is how we're going to go back.
Yeah. So,
Councilor Mallow, please.
yes, Mr. President, I'm going to defer, if I could, to Councilor Ryan, who has the real history on this that goes back the 4 years from the beginning of the recreation of the position.
Councilor Ryan, please.
All right, so back in 2000, Councilor Conley's not here. Back in 2013, when we were voting on the new senior center site, and then we put those conditions in, one that it get built within a year, that they bring back, before Doug Bolin had run both due to financial constraints, that they bring back the director of the senior center, and the other thing was a liability policy, environmental liability policy. Out of that, the only thing we really got was the Council on Aging director, and at the time we were speaking with the mayor, it was going to be underneath the Park and Rec, and at the time, I wanted to fight and to put it equal like it was before, but Councilor O'Keefe said to me, he's like, just let it go. He goes, you can change it down the road, which is what's happening now. And my thought was like, when the senior center opens in a year, that we'd be able to change it. Well, little did I know, the senior center didn't happen in a year, and I wasn't there in a year. So it just stuck there for the last couple of years, and it doesn't seem to be working. I think it's better when the senior population has someone that goes right to the top. I mean, the mayor ultimately is still answering to the mayor, but it just removes that second layer. And I think they're both, I can see what the mayor was trying to do, the community life center, they're both interchangeable, and down the road there might be one point where there's one person that's overall. I think down the road that might happen, but at this time I think it's better to have them separate. And I think that this is a good order, and this is the way it was before. I think this is the way it should be now. And then when the new building opens, we'll be able to see how everyone works together And then at that time, there might be a situation where we just have one person running the whole thing, back to what we originally have, but right now it just works. Seniors have their own director, and the Park and Rec have their director. And I just think that's the way it should be right now.
Thank you. Councilor Dibble,
Thank you,
please.
Mr. President. I'd have to say I concur with the comments that we just heard, but I'll take it back a little bit further, back to my friend and neighbor, former councilor Jean Marie Rockna, who lived across the street from me 3 decades ago. And she was the first senior center director, council and aging director, and did a wonderful job. She was local. So I liked your comments earlier. But with that, I'd like to ask that this vote be taken by a roll call vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Girard, did you have a further up? Councilor Milo, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Just to add a little additional information to Councilor Ryan's statements, a piece of this pie is well, first of all, we're not privy, at least I'm not privy to any exit interview comments. I'm guessing that those are confidential, so I have no idea who said what on any exit interview. But what I can tell you is, apart from speaking with folks at the Elder Affairs Department, speaking with previous and current council on aging directors, certainly in this area, one of the big things, and it's a thing that we spoke about at the Council on Aging Board a number of different times, we spoke about something that's really, there are different missions, right, between the Park and Rec and the Council on Aging. Very, very different missions that work that doesn't necessarily converge. I think a lot of times what happens is when people think about the senior center, they think about programs, and automatically they think about Park and Rec. But if you look at the responsibilities of a Council on Aging director, for the most part, programs might be 10% of their responsibility. You know, they have, senior services. I mean, they work closely with our community policing unit, for elder abuse, fraud, scams, whatever, social services and meals, health, et cetera. So there's a lot of different responsibilities that they have that they have nothing in common with Park and Rec. So frankly, if you have a really good Park and Rec director, that person is not going to have the expertise to be able to, at least in my estimation and in the opinion of what I consider the experts, is not going to have the expertise to be able to then oversee somebody who is then going to administer the Council on Aging mission. The other thing is, I'm going to go back to the seniors having a seat at the table. The vets have a seat at the table right now. The veterans agent reports to the mayor. The senior center director reports to the Park and Rec supervisor, who then reports to the mayor. There's that kind of in-between step that the Council on Aging director has to go through, whether it be when it comes to budgeting time or, however they want to deal with their staff. They don't have the autonomy that they do in fact need. And as Mr. Russell said earlier, this is something that our seniors deserve. They deserve a seat at the table the same way everybody else does. And this will give them that seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? There's a request by Councilor Dibble to make a roll call vote to allow first passage. Do I see 3 hands for a roll call vote for first passage? I see 3 hands for a roll call passage. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk, may we have a roll call vote?
Councilor Terrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Girard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
And Councilor Milo?
Yes.
Thank you. 10 members present, 1 absent. Unanimous vote. Passes on first passage, unanimous. Madam City Clerk. Thank you very much.
9 people present.
9 people.
Pardon?
9 people.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay.
9, I apologize. Thank you.
And I just want to thank my colleagues for that vote. Clearly, you knew that was important to me, and I appreciate your support. Thank you. All right, let's continue. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Fury.
Thank you, appreciate that. Audited, if I may, that the meetings of the qualified voters of the city of Salem be held in several voting precincts in the city of Salem, polling places designated down below on Tuesday, November 7th, for the purpose of casting votes in the city election for the election of candidates for the following: mayor for a term of 4 years, four councilors at large for the term of 2 years each, councilors at wards 1, councilors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the term of 2 years, and 3 members of the school committee for terms of 4 years. Madam President.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. Move for adoption.
Okay, any discussion?
No discussion?
Seeing none, on the Councilor Fury's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries.
Thank you.
Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. Of an ordinance, amending an ordinance by adding the following new chapter 13, now reserved. Section 1, the Salem City Code of Ordinances shall be amended by adding the following new chapter 13, now reserved. Chapter 13, management and elimination of natural gas leaks.
Waive the reading.
Madam President, I welcome the waiving the reading of these 4 or 5 pages, but I would like to simply read the 5 points under the purpose, please, for the council on the floor.
All right.
Okay? 13.1, purpose. The intent of this ordinance is, A, to improve the management of city infrastructure by coordinating maintenance, repair, upgrades, and replacement with gas companies. B, to minimize the cost, traffic disruption, and blockage due to street openings. C, to protect the city's and the residents' investment in urban trees and green space. D, to enhance the public health, safety, and welfare of city residents, businesses, and visitors. And E, to facilitate closure of natural gas leaks as efficiently as possible. I move for adoption for first passage.
Any discussion?
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. You've all heard me speak on this on the council floor a few times on the need to encourage the gas company to get out and make these repairs. They presently can wait 5 years or so before they break ground to make the repair. It's just unacceptable that our residents have to inhale this natural gas. It winds up hurting the environment. It winds up hurting our trees, killing our trees. And again, it's unacceptable. We just need to find another mechanism to get them out there to coordinate their efforts with the Public Services Department on these repairs, but also just get them to break ground and make these repairs. It's really unhealthy for it to be dragged on. I'd like to compliment the Salem Alliance for the Environment, SAFE, and our city solicitor for assisting in crafting this ordinance. We've been at it for a couple of months, and I'm going out testing more locations tomorrow with the volunteers. It's long overdue, and I encourage, through you, Madam Chair, I ask that our chairperson of OLA, who I'm asking that this ordinance draft go to for to schedule an immediate meeting on it so that we can fine-tune this ordinance and get it back to the council for immediate approval. I thank you for your consideration.
Do we have a second?
Just under discussion, I think it's a good ordinance. I'm just concerned that maybe we should be adding transmission lines, or at least under this purview, because we have double poles, we have digging for conduit and so forth, that maybe we couldn't encompass the cable. And apparently in the future we may have some digging for fiber or something of that nature. I think it's a great idea, and I understand the concern about gas leaks, but I'm wondering if we shouldn't, before we have first passage, that maybe we send it to the committee and perhaps add transmission lines, et cetera. I don't want to be critical of this, and I'm not being critical. It just seems it's a great idea. I think we need to get a handle on. I was talking to Council Famico this evening. We've gotten some phone calls relative to National Grid deciding they're going to park 3 backhoes on a park over by Warren Street. No permission, they just park them there, and they've got all their construction materials are just strewn about. And I talked to the city engineer, and he's going to be talking with National Grid. But I think it's time that we do get a handle on these things, and I applaud the council. I'm just wondering if we may expand that. Maybe the committee can, with the help of the city solicitor, have used this particular section of the ordinance to tighten up the transmission lines as well as natural gas, which is leaks. But I see it also, the CHEP management and leaks and management really needs to be directed to our transmission lines as well.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I welcome the friendly amendment from the Ward 3 councilor because it'll further improve the quality of life in Salem and reduce the number of street openings, et cetera. So I welcome that amendment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Lovely.
Just at this time, I would ask that it be sent to the committee without first passage so that we can have an implement an ordinance that's going to encompass both and get it out quickly for first passage next meeting.
And co-post. So is your motion to just send it to committee?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
Co-post. Okay.
Second.
Okay. On Councilor Lovely's motion that this matter go to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs,
Yes.
all those co-posted? All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Thank you. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you. City of Salem, year 2017, ordinance to amend ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 74, General Prohibitions Towing Zones. Pope Street in front of Proctor's Ledge Memorial for a distance of 92 feet between the telephone poles as marked by signs, no parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. And I move for adoption for first passage.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. Briefly, I am covering this matter for Councilor Epley. This is because, we have the new memorial that's been built on the site where they, have found, evidence going back to where the executions took place. As we kind of assumed would happen, people are in fact going there and parking and just wandering off. And, we want to discourage that behavior. We don't want this to be a high car traffic site. So we have this in place, and then the order right after this is to follow up on it.
Any further discussions on Councilor Terrio's motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, year 2017, ordinance to amend ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibitions, towing zone, resident sticker. Pope Street, Zone D, color yellow, between Proctor Street and the driveway entrance to the Walgreens on Pope Street. Resident sticker parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. And I move for adoption of first passage.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. This is furthermore say that what parking there is on that street will be just for the people who live on that street. So we do not want visitor cars on Pope Street at all.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, under Councilor Terrio's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Terrio.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, year 2017, ordinance to amend ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibitions, towing zone, resident sticker, Hancock Street, Zone E, color orange, southerly side between Canal Street and Cabot Street. Resident sticker parking only, northerly side from Cabot Street to the westerly property line of 32 Hancock Street, resident sticker parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. And I move for adoption for first passage.
Any discussion?
Again, briefly, Madam President, this is because we have had issues with employee and vehicles being stored on Hancock Street by a business there. There's a heavy lift truck repair facility on that site for heavy lift vans. The vehicles park on Hancock Street. The people working there park on Hancock Street. It really doesn't leave any space for the residents. And they do that instead of parking in front of their business and on the parking lot that they have behind it. So we put this, we've been trying to resolve this through discussions with the building inspector and the police department in order to try and encourage them to do this because, you know, as we said many times, dealing with resident parking is often like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. Once you squeeze it one place, it goes elsewhere. So this is a attempt the Traffic and Parking Commission has endorsed to try and address the problem. It may wind up we may wind up expanding this zone in the future because of this, but unfortunately, it seems to be the only way we think we'll address the issue that we're having there.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Terrio's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Councilor Famico.
Madam President, I'd like us to reconsider the ordinance that was just voted on, or just passed for first passage.
Okay, so Councilor Famico moves for reconsideration of this particular...
It's not this one, right? It's not this one.
It's the resident parking one, the previous one.
It's not council.
What is?
The resident parking on Pope Street.
Have we finished with yours? Yours?
Okay.
I did that for
Reconsidering?
Yours, I understand.
But Hancock Street's done, right?
Yes, for the Pope Street resident parking.
Councilor Lovely.
If Councilor Famico pointed out that Pope Street, I was never asked about this, which is fine. I know primarily the residents are in Ward 4. However, one half of Pope Street is in Ward 3 and includes 12 Pope Street. And I don't think we want to have sticker parking for those residents at 12 Pope Street. So perhaps if we could reconsider, I would make a friendly amendment that we include, it would be the odd side of Pope Street, or the northerly side, whatever it would take, just so that we don't have to publish a second time.
Councilor Terrio, Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. I think perhaps what we might want to do with that is, if we were going to edit this, we would do so to exclude 12 Pope Street from eligibility, instead of just doing odd side, because there are some residents on the other side, on the even side. There's a couple of houses there, so.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. We first have to reconsider, but the exclusion of 12 Pope Street, for those that don't know, that is Salem Heights. It's a large apartment complex. And by having that Pope Street in the way it's currently written, that would make it eligible that everyone in that large apartment complex would be eligible for the sticker and 2 guest passes. And this zone also goes all the way down to Summer Street and other sections of the city.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to allow the reconsideration of...
Sure.
Which one are we looking at?
Pope Street, Pope Street resident on page
Okay.
13.
Chapter 42, Section 74,
Under discussion?
under discussion.
I don't know, is there any great urgency for this? Perhaps it'd be best that we get the proper language, whether it's, we could exclude 12 Pope Street.
Anything on Ward 3 side.
I'm sorry?
Anything that's on the Ward 3 side. I'm sorry, Madam
Well,
President.
Yep,
Councilor Direct.
Well, there is a duplex there.
Right.
6 and 8 Pope Street on the even side. So perhaps, you know, I understand Councilor Terrio's point, just exclude 12 Pope Street. But unless there's an urgency to do it, I would suggest that we just, vote to reconsider, which we've done. We just put it in committee, Ordinance and Legal Affairs, and consult with the Traffic Department and the Police Department to find out the best way. Because I don't think there's any other, that I've noticed, any other zones that say, they are numbered 1 through 12, but we could probably do it 6 through 8 or whatever it may be on Pope Street, on the, I guess it would be the easterly or southerly side, one or the other. So I would ask that be referred to Committee on Ordinance and Legal Affairs, be reported out the next meeting.
So let's vote on the reconsideration first.
Go posted.
On the reconsideration, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, the reconsideration carries. And then on
Motion to
Councilor
refer.
Lovely's motion
To refer.
to refer to Ola?
Yes.
Co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? That matter carries.
Good job.
Now we're back to
Back to page 14.
Page 14, further motions, orders, and resolutions.
City of Salem, year 2017, ordinance to amend ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking limited time. Laurel Street in front of number 3 for distance 20 feet, handicap parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. And I move for adoption first passage.
Under discussion?
No discussion, this is a routine handicap space.
Okay, on Councilor Terrell's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
City Council, September 28, 2017, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting certain licenses, has considered said matter and would recommend approval. Tag Day, Salem High School Gymnastics, and Salem High School Marine Junior ROTC.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
No discussion, just Tag Day applications.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
City Council, September 28, 2017, Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee of Whole, to whom was referred the matter of amending an ordinance relative to noise control, has considered said matter and would recommend approval with conditions that the city also look into noise levels on upper levels, and then specifically, Councilor Famico had brought in certain like derby lofts, 20 or 30 Central Street? 20. 4 Central Street, and the Essex condos, to get like a, separate from this ordinance, but to get like a noise reading from the upper level. And then I'll let her speak on that.
Further discussion, Councilor Famico?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd also note with this, it wasn't looked into that it's actually that they shall establish levels of that, and we have a listing for those locations. So for those that don't know, when this ordinance was put into place, and I mentioned it last meeting, we actually had a professional sound engineer work with the city on establishing limits. And part of that is due to the sound levels that we had in the past. They were much louder than we should be allowing. For example, those who have ever attended a concert in Derby Square, the level of that was our middle of the road sound level before. That's not something you necessarily want everywhere, then you get too many sounds mixing, whatnot. So they worked with the city, they did different sets of sound testing throughout all times of the day to establish what the base level is, and then base these off of that. To get the upper levels for going forward and asking for that to be done, that's also due to when these levels were taken, it was all at the ground level. Sound carries differently, and especially downtown, we do have people that live above, myself being one of them. And also, we have some outdoor areas that are getting music and whatnot, that they're no longer the ground level, it's rooftop level. So by having these levels taken now, later on, if we run into any issues, we actually have that base level that we can refer back onto. And I've also spoken with some residents downtown that will be allowing them into their homes to take these measurements at all different times of the day and night. And thank you for all for making this happen, because the last couple of years we've really been tweaking this, and I think it really helps add to the vibrancy of our downtown.
Okay, so I believe we're accepting the report. All those in favor? All those opposed? And on the adoption of the recommendation, is there any more discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of Councilor Ryan's recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Oh, Councilor.
Madam Clerk.
Oh, yes?
I just have a question. If you're implementing an amendment to this ordinance, where in this ordinance was it amended?
It's not amending the ordinance, it's just asking at the same time that we have these levels done. So it's not changing any of the text, it won't affect any of the advertising.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
They are.
But that was adoption for second passage.
Yes.
Further committee report?
City Council, September 28, 2017, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee of the Whole, whom was referred the matter of Planning Board recommendation relative to amending zoning to change 204, 206, 214, 222 Derby Street from residential two-family R2 to central development B5, has considered said matter and would recommend that we keep it in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
This was brought up at the last council meeting, and I'd love to put it on the committee just in case we wanted to discuss it. We just decided to keep it in committees.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Ryan's recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Communications from city officials, none. Petitions.
We have a request from the North Shore Community Development Coalition requesting the right to tow all remaining cars on Peabody Street on September 30th, 2017 to ensure a safe and spacious block party. Block party on Peabody Street from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on 9/30 was approved by council on July 20th, 2017.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for approval.
Under discussion?
Under discussion. Thank you, Madam President. We had a meeting with the mayor, Lieutenant Przewski, city engineer, and representatives from the CDC who are going to be putting on this block party, a festival, which in everyone's opinion is morphed beyond a block party. It's kind of it's a festival, which is fine. So there was a lot of questions because of what came up in discussions relative to a block party and some of the events that they're going to have on there. The ability to tow is something that everybody in the room had a little apprehension of doing, and none of us want to do it. So we have put the onus on the CDC about leafleting the cars. There's going to be a message board that goes up. We're going to treat it a lot like we treat street sweeping. The intent is not to tow anybody. The intent is to get the information out there. But specifically where the stage is, where they're going to set up, they can't set the stage up if someone has left the car. So we had to give them a little leeway on the ability, and that's up to the desk sergeant at the time relative to whether or not they actually tow somebody. But the intent is that we don't want to tow anybody. But because of the nature of the setup, it's an atypical request. Multiple conversations with the chief and various other people at the police department. We've all sponsored every ward councilor in this room has sponsored a block party at one point or another. And it's typically you have a block party and you think of it as a bunch of people in chairs, tables, you have some, people drag their grills out, you have a fun event. But if there is a fire truck or an ambulance that needs to go down the street, everyone grabs their stuff, scatters, and you can get through. This is going to be one of those situations where it's not. That's why we had to sit down before we brought this back. It is a little more than a block party. It's more of an event. It's more of a street closure. The police and fire have been notified, so everyone's aware of what's going to happen, so that if there is an event that the fire department knows if it's within certain distance, they come in one way. It's another. They've handled all the logistics. This is just allowing the police the ability to, which they could do anyway, but it's just put the notice out there to make sure that they do have the signage and that we're doing our due diligence on our end and they're doing theirs on their end to make sure that everyone's aware of this. And hopefully it goes smoothly and we don't have to tow anyone, but in case we do, it allows them to do it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Famico, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Councilor Milo. So I went to the Lynn block party when they had their home mural festival, and it was a blast, so I'm glad to see that Salem's doing something similar and that it's not isolated. It seems like a really well-coordinated event. Just asked for the good Ward 1 councilor, someone that whose car sometimes likes to live places for a couple days just to make sure that the orange signs go up at least 72 hours in advance, since you can have your car in the street for 3 days.
48 hours now.
Well, I thought you can have your car in a city street for up to 72 hours without moving it.
It's coming Saturday.
Well, just to make sure they're up now then.
Councilor McCarthy.
The signs should have gone up today or yesterday. The billboard should be on Lafayette Street. We're treating it just like we treat sweeping. The intent is not to tow anybody. I can't say that as many times as I do not want to tow anybody. We're going to leaflet everybody. We're going to try to minimize the impacts as best we can. But at the same time, is because of the nature of the event, the way they want it, and the way that it's been designed, and it's the first time they've done it. So it's a lot of baby steps on this one. We're trying to ensure that no one gets towed, but specifically where there's a couple locations where there can't be a vehicle because it just can't work. So they have been doing the due diligence. They have been communicating. The CDC owns a lot of property there. Their residents are well aware of what's going on. They've communicated with all the businesses. just to give you a basic overview, they've coordinated with the bank. They're using the bank parking lot. They're going to have a couple food trucks in there, which kind of coincides with what they're doing with the food truck festival up at the Common. They are really trying to do it right, and they're trying to. They wish they could have gotten more food trucks, but it seems a lot of food trucks are up at the Common, so they can't get as many as they would have liked. But they're trying to, as the council says, if anyone hasn't had the chance to drive through the Point recently, some of the murals that have already gone up on some of the buildings, they're spectacular. So I encourage people to go down and take a look. They are really doing a really nice job. This is an event to highlight that, and hopefully it goes off without a hitch. But once again, the intent is not to tow anyone. The intent is, that we had the meeting last week, is to get the information out there about the festival and make people aware. But just in the case that they have to, they're going to have to.
Thank you. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. The good Ward 1 Council just alleviated some of my concerns. Being a member of OLA, Ordinance Selection Legal Affairs, we frequently get residents who appeal their tickets or appeal being towed. And if it winds up being 10 cars, we're talking a couple $1,000s, it just keeps on adding up. And I just wanted to be cautious on that, so I applaud the Ward 1 Councilor's comments just now in helping avoid those potential future costs to the city of Salem.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I'll be quick.
Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Madam President. Council Dibble just stole my thoughts about having to pay tickets as we reimburse a lot for towing. But even so far on this is to maybe do a robocall to the neighborhood and maybe start blocking spaces tomorrow that are empty with cones so that nobody parks there, so they don't have to worry about being towed. So as those spaces for the stage come empty, start blocking them off even tomorrow. So somebody won't be able to park there for a day early, but at least they won't be getting towed the next day. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor McCarthy's move for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from Target Corporation, 227 Highland Avenue, for hours of operation extension for 1 day on Friday, November 24, 2017, the day after Thanksgiving. Normal opening time is 8 a.m. The request is to open at some point in time after 12 a.m. to have the flexibility to open before 8 a.m.
Council Lovely.
Move that the request be denied.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion?
Second.
Seeing none, on Councilor Lovely's motion that this be denied, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter does not carry. Petitions, further petitions.
We have a request from Jacqueline's Wholesale Bakery for approval to work on one Sunday between October 1st and October 22nd to replace the HVAC units. We are requesting work hours from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Council Lovely.
Move the request be approved.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Lovely's motion that this be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from B&S Event Management to hold a road race for the Plummer Home Devil's Chase and use of city streets on October 28, 2017 at 7 a.m.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for approval.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. Discussion. Briefly, the only thing I'd like to ask is, I know that this form goes through the various departments, but the inconsistencies from the front to the back with regards to the insurance policy and the applicant and the name on the insurance policy and the fact that they don't include a tax ID number, I would just like the city, the matter of the, go back. I don't have no problem with the road race. I just want to make sure that the paperwork is cleared up. I would assume the city solicitor, just have her reach out to them. Briefly, it says B&S Event Management on the application for the certificate of liability is B&S Fitness Programs LLC. They live on the application, they list the street address. On the insurance, they list their business address. I just want it cleaned up, and I realize that when it says that the organization's tax status, and please include that tax ID number, the tax status, I realize they're not tax exempt, but they have to have a tax ID number. They are a business, they're an entity, they're generating income. They just can't put a zero there. So that's just my opinion when I read a form like this. And it's not just them, it's every application. I'm going to look at them just to make sure, because these road races go off, and you know, If they're carrying insurance that's covering this, they're listing the city as indemnified, is covered, it says it right here, the city's additionally listed, which I would have to be if I was doing a job. They're doing a job, they're performing a job in the city, that the city's additionally insured, so I just want to make sure that all the information is correct. But I have no problem with the road race.
So, are you moving?
I would just like the city solicitor to reach out to them and make sure that their application, I'm sure they just took last year's application and filled it out and copied it or whatever. That's, you know, they've been doing this race for a bunch of years, but it seems like since their first inception, they now have a business address that, you know, they have and their insurance has changed. I just want the paperwork reflects that.
Do you want to make it?
We have their insurance policy, so it's all good. But.
Yeah. Like a conditional approval? Is that what you?
It's fine.
Or just
I just want the city solicitor to reach out to them and make sure it's clarified. That's all.
Okay. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. I also don't have a problem with the race itself. It does note, though, and it was mentioned by the Good Ward 1 Council before about the notices, which I'm glad they're doing. It does go down a few of streets that I represent, and I'll note for some of them, they're multi-unit buildings. There's many of them on Andrew Street. There's quite a few on Webb, and some over in Washington Square as well. And I just want to make sure that when they're going to the homes that they're taking into note that sometimes there's 5, 6 units in the building and that they're leaving notice for all the residents and not just one for those households. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor McCarthy's motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? And that carries. Further petitions.
We have a communication from the Salem Veterans Council endorsing the naming of the following city squares: Tomlinson Square, Walter Street, and Orange Street, Ward 6. Mackey Square, Canal Street, and Broadway, Ward 5. And Perrault Square, Planters Street, and East Collins Street, Ward 2.
Councilor Rain.
Move for adoption.
Any discussion?
These are veteran squares that the Veterans Council has nominated, and if anybody else has anything to say, that's fine.
Any other discussion? Councilor Gerard, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to quickly read that Tomlin Square had come about because one of my constituents, Craig Burnham, had contacted me, and he wrote this really beautiful short email that I'd just like to read. That back in May, he said, "Beth, I saw in the paper today 6 Salem World War II war veterans chosen for naming local road intersections. This is a great idea and honor to those lost. There is a North Salem fellow from Walter Street named Lieutenant Robert Tomlinson, who was my Uncle Carlton Lutz's best friend growing up on Dearborn Street in Cabot Farm. He was an only child to Helen and Reuben Tomlinson on Walter Street and graduated Salem High School class of 1941. He was part of the 389th Bomber Group comprised of B-24s who was lost on April 7th, 1945 over Germany. Both my uncles had tried to sway him to join the Navy with them. He would have none of it and trained to fly bombers in Louisiana for 2 years before traveling to England in 1943 to begin missions in Germany. If any intersections in North Salem are in need of good and decent name to be placed upon them, he is your candidate. He now rests in Ardennes National Flyer Cemetery in Belgium with about 5,000 other American flyers from the war. It is a deeply moving experience to stand among so many young American airmen lost in their prime. To quote Winston Churchill, never have so many owed so much to so few." And so I want to thank Craig Burnham for bringing this to my attention, and thank Kim Emmerling for pushing this through, and the Veterans Councils.
Thank you for sharing that. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to simply kind of echo the Good Ward 6 councilors' comments. But with regard to the Salem Veterans Council, we need to really thank them for bringing these squares forward. With regard to the second one, Mackey Square, the late Dan Mackey, his brother, was a friend of mine and contributed so much to the city of Salem. On our first community-built playground 3 decades ago, he built a handicap, he was a little bitter, he built a handicap accessible walkway up to that playground. And he simply ignored my ongoing request to send a bill. It was his contribution back to Salem. And he did that countless times, helping out the city of Salem all different ways. His other brother, Herbie, his contributions down at the Salem Landing, the artwork that just so many people enjoy walking by. It's Gunnery Sergeant Charles. I'm wondering what he would have brought back to the city had he not passed away in World War II. So it's a wonderful family. But I want to make sure we get it right. Canal and Broadway has 2 intersections, one by McDonald's and one by Mackey's company on the southerly part of South Salem. So a friendly amendment would be that we add the word the southerly intersection of Broadway and Canal Street. Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Ryan's motion as amended? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of license applications for public guides and taxi operators.
Counselor Ryan,
Move granted.
any discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have one claim.
Counselor Ryan,
Refer to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs.
under discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 74, tow zones, North Street, westerly odd side between the driveways of 111 North Street, no parking tow zone.
Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for second and final passage.
Any discussion?
Just briefly want to let everyone know, if they hadn't heard it on the at our last meeting, that this is in regards to a change in the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control and Design, where there is 20 feet required around a crosswalk, and so that is why this crosswalk was being requested to be changed.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Gerard's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 10, one-way street, Prescott Street, one-way eastbound side from Summer Street to Margin Street.
Counselor Lovely.
Move adoption for second and final passage.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing none, on Counselor Lovely's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking, limited time, repeal, Cloutman Street in front of number 15 Clout Lane for a distance of 20 feet, handicap parking tow zone.
Counselor Lovely.
Move adoption for second passage.
Discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing none, on Counselor Lovely's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 10, one-way street, Endicott Street, one-way eastbound from Summer Street to Margin Street.
Counselor Lovely.
Move adoption for second passage.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Lovely's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business. Oh, did we do this one already?
Yep.
Oh, Counselor Fury.
Motion to adjourn, Madam President.
Oh, we're adjourned.